What's up everyone, it's Design Gal Christine Maggi. Today I'm going to cover what you need to know to learn the basics of UI design. This video is part of my Getting Started in UI UX series, and I thought it'd be helpful just to kind of run through a basic list of things that I think you should know if you want to design user interfaces. Whether you purely want to be a UI designer, or even a visual designer, or you want to do more of a combination UI and UX or product design, this list is going to get you on the right path toward learning what you need to know for that visual, that top layer of a user experience, the actual visual interface. Just like I'm saying in almost all of these videos in this series, the first thing you need to know is the process of design, and in particular for UI, where that actually fits within the process. Now, some people might think the user experience designer can just do all of the strategy and the wireframing and then hand it off to a user interface designer, which is how it works in some companies. But I actually think the sooner a user interface designer or visual designer can come in the process, the better. So learn the process. Learn where UI can really help influence from the very beginning, that strategic, that planning sort of thinking. Your project will be better for it. All right, so for visual design and user interface design, you really need to learn the design elements and design principles. If you go to any graphic design program or art school, they are going to teach you these things. These are really basic things, but they're really important to sort of explore and learn how they work together to create the design that you actually want. So design elements, that's things like color. So color theory is a whole huge field in and of itself. Shapes, lines, texture, space, and form. These things sort of are the building blocks of what you actually put on a screen or on a page or a piece of paper. But the elements of design really won't get you where you want without the principles of design to show you how they all work together in a nice way. Principles of design meaning things like unity and harmony, balance. So this is really important when you want to balance things like white space or negative space with an actual element on the page. You want to make sure the hierarchy is really clear. So hierarchy, another principle, very important. We want to make sure that the things that are very important stand out and the things that are less important stand back. There's a clear hierarchy of what I'm supposed to be looking at, reading, or doing. Scale and proportion, so how big something is compared to another thing. Dominance or emphasis, kind of similar to hierarchy. Similarity, contrast, repetition. These are all principles that really inform you and show you how to use the design elements together so that it makes a cohesive design that's pleasing to look at and that helps you achieve the goals you want to achieve with that design. I also really suggest, if you want to particularly design user interfaces for digital products, that you learn some of the common UI patterns that exist today. So what do I mean by a UI pattern? A pattern is what we call anything that's sort of like a well-known set of elements that someone can interact with. These are things like a drop-down menu, or a set of tabs, or the ability to multi-select checkboxes, for instance, or things like drawers, or toggles, or switches, form fields, form labels, form inputs, form placeholders, lots to do with forms, buttons too. I think everyone knows what a button is, but there are several types of buttons that exist that are all patterns. So things like a default button, a primary button, a secondary button, a ghost button, a disabled button. All these things sort of mean something slightly different, and so learning about these patterns and how they relate and what you can use them for is really going to help you when you're designing a user interface. Because so many digital products exist and we've been as a society using them for years and years now, it's really important to sort of stick with known patterns that people know how to use as much as possible. That does not mean that you should never break the mold and try something really creative and different, but if the task requires just quick and easy functionality, you don't want people to think or to guess or to get lost, using some of these patterns that people are already familiar with is going to be really helpful to get them to do what you want them to do. I did touch on color a little bit, and like I said, color theory is an entire study in and of itself. It's really important to learn how colors work together, what different colors mean psychologically, how their meaning varies across cultures even, what types of colors appeal to different types of people in terms of age or occupation or even the industry that the business is in. All these things kind of inform what color choices you should make for the design. So that's a big one. I love color. It's one of the main reasons I got into design. Is just so interesting how they work together. Typography as well. A lot of people have said that typography is the most important thing you can learn for good design. Without good typography, it is very hard to make a successful design. So learning about letter forms, how different weights of type work together and what they mean, from fonts that are extended, which means they're very wide and sort of flat, to condensed, which means they're sort of tall and skinny, bold, italics, using different line heights or lettings, so space between actual lines of text, kerning letters, so the space between individual letters is really important. So sort of learning how type lives and breathes together and how you can use it to inform your design is so important. The last thing I want to go over for UI design that you should start learning is what deliverables you'll actually need to produce as a UI designer. So things like rough sketches, so using pen and paper just to like sketch out your idea, prototypes, kind of mid-level, not fully finished but not a sketch, designs that you can sort of use to get your idea across or test, all the way up to the final finished pixel perfect design comp that you can hand to a developer to go off of. Learning about those deliverables, practicing your design skills to create the deliverables will give you a great head start as far as learning how to get into UI. Design school for UI in a nutshell. There you go. I will be putting together some resources for you on this in the future, so definitely keep a lookout for that. There are ways to sort of practice these things and learn about these things without going to school, but school can be super helpful too. I found that a graphic design education was really good for learning these things, and I've been able to apply that graphic design background to a UI UX career. So that is one way to do it. That's not the only way, but whatever way you choose, keep at it, keep it up. You will get better over time. And that's all I got. So thanks again for watching. Hope this was helpful. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't, and leave your comments down below if you have any questions. I'll see you in the next one.